sale of alcohol. I think I want to stop it there, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Very good approach from our colleagues there. Now, this session, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to invite the RC Nyeri to give us now the perspective on the field and the uptake. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Chief of Staff, who is chairing the session now. Those who came in later, my name is Frederick Shisia. I'm the Regional Commissioner, Central Region. Our headquarters is at Nyeri, so when you hear the Principal Administrative Secretary saying Nyeri, Nyeri is our headquarters for the region. I want to take this opportunity first and foremost to appreciate the initiative that has been taken by the Office of the Deputy President in carrying forward this conversation from the time we started on 14th of this month at my residence in Nyeri, where we had all the leaders in the region, both elected, nominated at the various levels, after they recognized that alcohol and drug abuse is a problem in the region. And every speaker during that session acknowledged that it was actually a problem in the region. But for the case of alcohol, if it's not your brother, it's not your husband, it's not your wife, it's not your cousin, is a relative in the chain, is your friend at the place of work, in one way or the other, we are seriously affected as a region. I don't want to go into statistics, but I'll speak generally, because on that day in Nyeri, those who were present, there was a joint presentation by my office and NACADA, which was quite exhaustive and covered quite a lot. In the region, after the 14th of April, we developed a work plan that is going to assist us in addressing this problem as a region. In that work plan, we have put in place a three-pronged approach. The first one is the sensitization approach, and we have actors we have already identified who will be assisting in this activity. The second activity is enforcement. We also have identified actors who will be handling that. And then we have the third activity, which is rehabilitation. Because already we have addicts among us, and those addicts need to be taken care of. Today, during the previous presentations, I think the one aspect that was not discussed during the conversation in Nyeri, and is equally very, very critical and important, that is the aspect of giving those ones that will decide to leave this line of business, where will they go? We need to think about that alternative option. Those ones who will now want to leave the business of selling alcohol. I'm not talking about drugs, because drugs are not allowed. Illicit drugs are not allowed in this country by law. But alcohol, we are talking about genuine alcohol that is allowed by law. If they decide that they don't want to continue with that business, what options do we have for them? Same to the addicts. What options do we have for them to continue their life? So I think for us in the region, we have those approach so that we see this problem in a sustainable manner. We have already mapped out the areas that we classify as hotspot areas. In as far as production of illicit brew is concerned, and also the production of drugs is concerned, and we are already developing a map which we'll be sharing in not too long future, and this is going to assist all the enforcers, all those who will be involved in issues of sensitization, because when you are going to talk to people, you need to know where you are going to carry out that business. After mapping out these areas, we have also mapped out the approved manufacturers of genuine alcohol. And we have also gone further to map out areas where we have manufacturers of illicit second-generation alcohol. Although here we also have some challenges, because we have those who are genuine manufacturers of alcohol, but they have a second production line that produces the illicit alcohol. I think this is the challenge we are facing, but we have generated that information and it can be found when it's required. Having done that, within the law enforcement agencies, that's the National Police Service, there is normally an instrument that we normally develop that will synergize the efforts of all the agencies that are involved. We call it the operation plan, which has already been done at the regional level. This operational plan now will be customized to each of the 5 counties in the region. You realize that the 5 counties have their own peculiarities. Therefore, once you standardize the operation plan, you allow the enforcement agencies at the county level now to domesticate, so that that one can allow them to leverage on their competencies to be able to realize the objectives for which that instrument is desired for. However, while doing this, we have encountered some challenges, and these challenges are the ones that have triggered a series of discussions we have been having in the recent past. One of the sessions we met with His Excellency the Deputy President, and the officers were very candid on a very serious challenge they have been facing in addressing this problem. Finishing illicit brew is so easy, very easy. It just requires commitment, focus, and logistical support, and it will be finished. But second generation alcohol is a bit complicated because of the dynamics in the legal framework and the dynamics in the leadership structure. Yeah, sometimes you work, you do your job, but a number of telephone calls will be made. Now, once those telephone calls are made, you will not progress. And if you are not able to progress, then that business will stall or will not achieve the desired objective. But the critical area that was raised by the enforcement agencies, particularly from the National Police Service, had to do with the relationship with our prosecutor colleagues. We the chair set out a very good platform this morning, where he said we are not here to blame each other, but we are here to flag out gaps so that we are able to work together in addressing this challenge that is facing central Kenya. There is evidence on our side that we have not been working well with the colleague prosecutors when it comes to issues of prosecuting offenders in respect of illicit alcohol, second generation alcohol, and then drugs. What constitutes the threshold to be able to process a case and then present it before a court of law? I remember in one of the sittings we had, there was an example of one roll of bang found with the suspect. Is that enough to warrant that suspect to be processed and taken to court? I think we need to be told. If it doesn't warrant, then how do we proceed? Yeah. One of the speakers here said that we have discretion given to us by our various mandates that we've been given. But are we accountable when we are discharging that discretion? I think this is especially where the problem is. You have the arresting officers, they process the file, they forward the file to you. If you are able to identify gaps in the file, and then you discuss with the officer or the IO, I don't think we will be having this blame game between the investigating officers and the prosecutors. There are instances where we have been told that the investigating officer and the prosecutor start arguing in front of the suspect. It doesn't give a good picture. Or the prosecutor telling the investigating officer that this matter, I don't see it going anywhere from the content I've seen, and the suspect is right in front of the two of you. I think these are some of the issues we need to address so that we are able to reinforce the principle of multi-agency. We need each other. Yeah, we need each other. Yeah. Where we have a national law that has not been repealed, and we have a county that has not put in place their proper legislation to address those issues on the ground, the national law will have to be used in such a case. But, Mr. Chairman, I want to give the example of Nyandarua County. Yeah. For the prosecutor to dismiss that we are not going to prosecute these cases because we don't have a county law in place, it's not right. We would rather have seen a situation where the prosecutor says, no, we don't have this, there is this gap, this is what we are supposed to do, and we proceed with the case. That way, we are going to encourage our officers who are involved in addressing this issue. The other area that we are having challenges also has got to do with the establishment of the government chemist in the region. You know, the national labs in Nairobi sometimes get overwhelmed, and it takes quite a bit of time for once the samples have been submitted there, for them to be resubmitted back so that you can proceed with the prosecution process. I think we suggested during the meeting in Nyeri that it's important we identify either Odhaya Hospital or Nyeri Level 5 Referral Hospital. We have a unit where the government chemist can set up a lab that will assist us in the region to process the samples that have been confiscated so that we are able to fast track the processing process. The other challenge we have also been having in the region has got to do with some of our government agencies. They are not present on the ground. And when they are called upon to come and assist, you find this time they send one officer, next time they send a different officer. So that continuity is missing. You know, officers also need to learn and understand each other in the way they are supposed to be disposing of these matters. So we are requesting, especially the anti-counterfeit agency, the presence in the region is minimal. Yeah, it's minimal. I don't know, you may be having your own challenges with regard to the human resource issues, but this is a request, and I think it's a matter that was discussed when we had the meeting in Nyeri, and if it is properly addressed, I think we will be good to go in addressing this matter. Another case that was also cited in the region, you find our agencies, the KEBS, KRA, and anti-counterfeit. Sometimes they don't agree. Yeah. KRA says it's okay, KEBS says it's okay, anti-counterfeit says no, this is counterfeited product. This suspect must proceed to court. I think in the spirit of multi-agency, we should be able to address such issues when they unfold. Lastly, I think it's a matter of logistics that we requires to be addressed. This matter cannot effectively be addressed if we don't have adequate budgetary support. We also need equipment. I want to thank the CEO Nakada. You provided the drone yesterday, and the results are overwhelming. Because some of the terrains that we go through are very challenging. Yeah, very, very challenging. But with certain equipments like the drone, we are able to monitor, and we are able to come up with real-time information that will assist us in addressing this one, this problem adequately. I think on that note, I want to stop there, and I hope that the discussions are going to be positive at the end of it all. We shall make Central Kenya once again the backbone of producing the highest percentage in terms of contributing to the GDP of this country. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, that's great stuff coming out, and I hope you've been finding it useful, particularly our colleagues from prosecution. This was just after this. No, but this is the one from prosecution, which we want after tea. Yeah, so just because this is now the crux of the matter, after having narrowed in on all those things, it was now coming to the prosecution and the rest of how we deal with these cases. So really, I think to crown it, we shall have Victor Mule after the tea break. Yes? You wanted to do an introduction yourself first? Wouldn't you guys, ama mumeshiba chai ya asubuhi? Was it a good breakfast? You feel it can still sustain you? Yeah, well, I was just trying to buy time there so that even when the DP comes, at least he finds as now narrowing in on this issue. So if you wanted to speak before Mule, then I can still give you that chance. You address a few issues, but then now, when the DP comes, he finds us having maybe taken a quick cup of tea, and then Mule now making that presentation. So Dorcas, maybe you can come on behalf of the DPP and make some remarks. Thank you very much.
Good morning again. I'm not speaking on behalf of the DPP because I'm informed that he's already on his way, and I'm sure that when he comes, he will have something to say to us, so he will address us when he comes. But I want to apologize on his behalf because he had to attend an urgent meeting for this. So I want to speak on behalf of the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, and I think you have seen that they've come in numbers. All officers who manage county offices, and some regions are here because they also are concerned about these matters. So we were told this morning that we are not here to blame each other, but I think it's also my responsibility to introduce my office and support some of their actions or explain why you should understand them and work together with them. The Office of the Director of Public Prosecution is established under Article 157 of the Constitution. Under that article, the Director of Public Prosecutions has only one power, which is not a function, and that is the power to direct the Inspector General to investigate any matter that comes by him in any other form, but only when it is warranted. But Article 157(6) provides that the Director of Public Prosecutions shall have power to exercise state powers of prosecutions. Those state powers of prosecutions are elongated in the ODPP Act that now explain how does he exercise state powers of prosecutions. In exercising state powers of prosecutions, one of the things that is expected to do is to set standards of prosecutions and also to formulate policy to assist in the exercise of prosecutorial powers. And these are the policies that he has come up with, and these are the policies that Mule is going to talk about that direct these prosecutors and myself when we are doing our work. And when prosecutors don't adhere to those policies, we also have our internal mechanisms on how we deal with those issues. Article 157(9) provides that the DPP shall exercise those powers in person or by officers subordinate to him, who include these public prosecutors. So in exercising those powers, how do they exercise them? I go back to 157(6), that the DPP shall have powers to exercise state powers of prosecutions, and may, kindly, it says may, which it does not say shall, may, institute criminal proceedings, may. 2, may take over, may terminate. That may gives a discretion. It does not say shall, may. His function is to exercise state powers of prosecution, and in doing that, he may institute. If you go to 157(10) provides that the Director of Public Prosecutions shall not be directed by anybody in exercising his powers. However, 157(11) provides that the Director of Public Prosecutions shall have regard to public interest, the interest of the administration of justice, and the need to prevent the abuse of the court process. Now, this one works together with the may. So when these prosecutors make decisions to charge or do not make decisions to charge, one of the things that Mr. Mule will talk about is what they consider. But one of the most important factors that they must consider is that it has to be in the public interest. Now, being in the public interest is subjective. Criminal law, public interest, and discretion are not scientific when it comes to criminal law. So you cannot tell a prosecutor to tell me whether this roll of bang is an offense or not. It depends on the circumstances. And we cannot say that law is impervious to our surrounding circumstances. It's impervious to what is going on today. Our previous speaker has already said today that we should be considering the principles. I think the police officers here know very well that policing can have an effect of systematic discrimination, just like prosecution, where you know the principles, you know the people who are behind these things, but they are never brought for prosecution. The same thing you also talk about that prosecutors don't, sometimes are not very serious with people who have money. So the principals who are behind these offenses, among all criminal justice agencies, they are known. If you go to a village and you ask, who are the women who brew changa here, everybody will tell you. If you tell them who are the people who bring counterfeits, they will tell you because they are known and they have money, but they are never arrested. Secondly, if you go all over Nairobi, in every corner there is a bar and winery where people buy alcohol. It is not a Nyeri problem, it is not a Kenya problem, it is a human problem and a generational problem. This malevolence can only be dealt with if we look at the core issue. Because today we are talking about people who are selling counterfeits, illegal brews. But I'm not hearing us saying, we also have people amongst us who overdrink. Legal, isn't it? But they overdrink. And why the law, some laws are created that are personal to you, things that you do to yourself but they are illegal, like overdrinking, or if you stay in your house and you are involved, let's say in pornography, somebody says, but this is me. Why are you coming after me? The reason is that we are protecting you, we are protecting the society and anybody else you will meet. So even that person who is overdrinking legal brew, but overdrinking and is affecting others, is creating a problem. If we say that the people who can afford can do whatever they want, because now we are talking about cheap and affordable alcohol. Can you imagine? Because we have agreed that it is acceptable. So we have to go for cheap and affordable. What about the people who are buying, maybe for example, what is not cheap, what is affordable, what is legal, but they are the ones who are also influencing other people to now partake what is illegal because the others cannot afford. And what we are doing is actually going to be systematic discrimination. It is still policing and prosecuting people who do not have. Because it is the poor who go for illegal, who go for cheap, and they are the ones who are being arrested. And that is the public interest and the subjectiveness that the prosecutor has to use the lens of public interest to balance. So there are nuances in here, and nobody can deal with them alone. But if we find that prosecutors have done something which is not acceptable, then everybody is allowed to write to the Director of Public Prosecutions or come to the office and see us, because just like all other human beings, we have people who are. If we are asked in this room today, if we start with the police, supposing every policeman who is consuming illegal brew, buying or selling, is arrested and taken to court, ask me how many of us would remain. We have prosecutors here. If you ask them how many take illegal brew, maybe sell, ask me how many of us will be counted. So sometimes we have to be subjective, and I like what I think it was from Counterfeit. He said that our actions should also reflect our pursuit to protect the income. Did you say income generating, or a generation that is a productive generation of our society? Because otherwise, if you tell the must charge and take to court, then you do not know the effect that that action has on anybody else or on the society. Public interest includes the prosecutor saying, for example, in Kibera, you can get one charge sheet with 50 people, drunk and disorderly, or drinking after hours, one charge sheet. Makadara is the busiest court in East Africa. Policemen can come with one charge sheet with 30 people. such that even the court cannot call each one of them individually to take a plea. They take in groups. So in Makadara, you can have 300 pleas in a day. Supposing we were filling our jails with 300 people in a day, what would happen? So I'm asking all of us to just be reasonable and to be humane in what we are doing. The work of the prosecutor is to enforce the law as it is. A prosecutor is a custodian of the process to make sure that people who should go to court and be prosecuted are prosecuted. Those who are not supposed to go to court will not go to court, and Mr. Mule will explain that. At the same time, it is not the wish of these prosecutors. They are part of the society. They are also affected by these issues, either infected or affected. They are part of society, our children, our wives, our husbands. So we cannot look at them as if they are not sensitive to what is happening. It is affecting all of us. And I think it is our country, it is our society, and it is our generation. And finally, we talked about vessels that transport, I think, ethanol or release it or whatever. I think at an opportune time we have to look at, there are provisions now in POCAMLA, Proceeds of Crime and Anti-Money Laundering Act, which deal with instruments of crime. Anything which is an instrument of crime is forfeitable to the state. But you'll have to justify and prove to the state that it is an instrument of crime and it is tainted. And also, we also have to be more careful about online shopping, and also not only shopping, but even online, shopping, and also food is now delivered in homes, isn't it? And some of these people who deliver service providers, they do not have open spaces. They do them in go-downs and everything, and nobody knows what is going on in there. So we just have to be a bit sensitive to technology, and also we also have to be sensitive about laws that were created to protect also the accused person. Public interest is also what is in the interest of the accused person. For example, consuming illicit brew is also harmful to the consumer, isn't it? Why aren't we putting enough effort also to deal with the consumer? So I think there are issues on the table that we need to deal with that go beyond prosecution, that also really make this matter more complex, calling upon not only multi-agency, but multi-directional, multi-subject-oriented, so that we can have different lenses within which we deal with this. Thank you so much. I hope the DPP will address you.
Yeah, I think that was quite excellent. It's about 1:45. We can reconvene at 11:15. You just tickled a funny bone in me when you were making some of these remarks. Eh? We largely believe that Muslims don't drink, and particularly the Saudis.